young people up to the age of, I don't know, 29 are being allowed freedom of movement. A week on from the Prime Minister saying he was cracking down on immigration, we risked becoming an island of strangers. Are we going to have freedom of movement for those young people?
No, we're not. So there's going to be no return to freedom of movement. We will agree the parameters of how we might set up a scheme going forward. But look, we have already...
There's going to be youth mobility and no cap on numbers.
No, so that's not correct. So we have 13 youth mobility schemes already with other countries around the world. You still need a visa to come. It's time limited. It's capped. You can't bring dependents. You can't access social security. So it's something completely different to freedom of movement. Actually, you take those existing schemes we have, and they are negative on immigration. So more British young people leave for a short period of time than other people come to the UK. It's about 24,000 visas issued for youth mobility schemes last year.
Reid pounces on the hottest talking point first. Reynolds swats it away. Yes, youth visas. No, border back doors. Make sure you like and subscribe.
There's going to be youth mobility and no cap on numbers.
No, so that's not correct. So we have 13 youth mobility schemes already with other countries around the world. You still need a visa to come. It's time limited. It's capped. You can't bring dependents. You can't access social security. So it's something completely different to freedom of movement.
Reid demands a clear limit. Reynolds answers with net negative numbers and past performance to calm the panic.
It's been reported that there has been, this is breaking news, that there's been a breakthrough in talks between the UK and the EU last night, ahead of the first bilateral summit since Brexit.
The Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, joins us now from Westminster. Very good morning to you, Mr. Reynolds. Right, those who voted to leave in 2016 think you have ignored democracy and we're about to sneak back into the EU. Is that what happened last night?
No, that's completely false, and I can confirm that a deal has been done. That's great news, but it's not about relitigating those arguments of the past. It's not about being a member of the EU or the single market or the customs union even. It is about removing some things, some unnecessary checks and frictions to trade and our security relationship with the European Union that we don't need. So it's about cheaper bills, it's about more secure borders, it's about jobs. To give you some specific examples of that, well, look, first of all, what we're seeking is if you are travelling to a European country, you can use the e-gates. It's easy to take your pet, so your life's going to be a little bit more straightforward. And particularly for my part of this, the trade side of it. Look, our trade with the European Union in goods has declined from where it should be following Brexit. On food and agriculture in particular, which is part of this agreement, we have a situation where despite having the same rules in place, our trade with Europe, our exports are down by about a fifth. We've got the same standards in place. We've got a lot of unnecessary checks that add to cost, add to complexity. If you've got the same rules in place, you can remove those. And that is what we're trying to do. Make people better off, make the country more secure, not the arguments of the past, but trying to make that relationship as smooth and as easy as it should be, just as we're trying to do with the US or India or any other major market for the UK around the world.
Reynolds presents the agreement as housekeeping rather than heresy. Cheaper bills and more seamless borders rather than Brussels tyranny.
Well, you're putting a very, very upbeat, positive spin on this deal. What a lot of people, particularly those who did vote to leave all those years ago, are concerned about is that actually this is just the first step in getting back into bed with the EU. And, of course, you don't get things without giving things in return in these deals. What have we given Europe? For example, have we given them too much access to UK fishing rights?
Well, look, good trade deals are a win-win, and no matter how you voted in that referendum, when you tell people that you can't sell a British sausage made in the UK in Europe, I think they think, why is that? That's ridiculous. So there are things that have been put in place that the previous deal didn't address, which we're addressing here.
What have we given the EU?
I think that's a win-win. Look, on what we're seeking on food and agriculture, that works for the European Union as well, selling into us. On things like potential youth mobility, there's a win-win on both sides. So we shouldn't see trade deals as winners and losers, right? There are requests on both sides, but you get it right and both sides win. And particularly on food and agricultural trade or ease of going to and from countries, I think that is in both our interests and in the European Union's.
Madley paints a sellout. Reynolds rebadges it as mutual benefit and British sausages for all. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Is it an acknowledgement that Brexit has failed?
Well, it depends what you wanted from Brexit. I mean, if you wanted different things, you will feel differently about where we have got to with it.
But I do think Brexit's failed.
Well, I didn't vote for it, and I didn't know what people who were making promises of it thought they could deliver. But I do think it's better to look to the future. I do think no matter how you voted, you should want as seamless a travel for yourself and your family to Europe, or as ease a level of doing business and trade. And frankly, you want your bills to come down. I think everyone wants that across the UK.
Okay.
So removing those barriers at the border helps with that. Working on things like electricity trading helps with that.
Reid seeks a confession, while Reynolds dodges by repeating a mantra of future not past.
I want to ask you about the post office scandal. Not only have we seen this mega ITV drama get millions of viewers, where everybody's heart was broken about the injustice done to the sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses, but now we have the choir on Britain's Got Talent. Why aren't you paying out the full claims? They said to ask you, stop breaking your promises. I know it wasn't your government, but it is your government now.
Well, look, we haven't broken any promises. This is personally very important to me. I can tell you we have quadrupled the amount of compensation paid to victims of this horrendous scandal since the election. It's just short of £1 billion now that we've paid out. When claims come in, there are 4 different schemes, but we have policies in place to make an offer within 40 working days of that claim coming in.
It's 100% of these people's claims. They've all been forensically analysed. They don't understand why they're still waiting. That's the promise that has been broken.
I have to have a process by which the money is awarded. I'm in charge of public money. I can have policies in place to make sure we get compensation paid, that we respond quickly. But what I cannot do is personally set the level of compensation.
Quickly, Government Minister.
Exactly, 16 years
Well,
isn't
I think we've been in government 9 months and quadrupled compensation. It will never go fast enough for me, but that is a real increase in how we are responding.
It'll never go fast enough for them either, and some of them are dying before they receive their compensation. What do you make of Sir Alan Bates's suggestion to Susanna in an interview last week that the government just cuts through all this and appoints a Supremo, an Ubermeister, if you like, who has complete control and authority to speed things up?
Look, those structures already exist. The particular frustration Sir Alan has, who to me is a national hero, is about how quickly some of the claims and the most complex claims came into government and to the post office. He wanted a timeline for those. We asked the overall representatives of the victims of this scandal, and they were worried that might lead to a further injustice, because if people didn't get their claims in, they wouldn't be eligible, therefore, for compensation. But look, we have quadrupled it. We will always go faster.
Reid stirs public indignation. Reynolds processes over passion with £1 billion data and 40-day targets.
But that is a real increase in how we are responding.
It'll never go fast enough for them either, and some of them are dying before they receive their compensation. What do you make of Sir Alan Bates's suggestion to Susanna in an interview last week that the government just cuts through all this and appoints a Supremo, an Ubermeister, if you like, who has complete control and authority to speed things up?
Look, those structures already exist. The particular frustration Sir Alan has, who to me is a national hero, is about how quickly some of the claims and the most complex claims came into government and to the post office. He wanted a timeline for those. We asked the overall representatives of the victims of this scandal, and they were worried that might lead to a further injustice, because if people didn't get their claims in, they wouldn't be eligible, therefore, for compensation. But look, we have quadrupled it. We will always go faster. I don't set the individual level of claims. I would end up being judicially reviewed, frankly, for each of those claims. It would elongate the process.
Madley offers a silver bullet boss. Reynolds notes the machine's humming already.
Right, Minister, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
No, hang on, sorry, I have to, before we let you go. On Wednesday, the 23rd of April, the Legal Aid Agency became aware of a cyber attack. Were you aware of this? Because apparently they've had to take immediate action to bolster the security of the system, but they're working closely with the National Crime Agency, National Cyber Security Centre. They've informed the Information Commissioner. But on Friday, the 16th of May, they discovered the attack was much more extensive than originally understood. The group behind it have accessed a large amount of information relating to legal aid applicants. This sounds like a very significant breach of government information. Do you know anything about this, and do you have a response this morning?
I'm aware of the story. It's obviously that the legal system is not part of my own personal responsibilities, but it is an arm's length agency to the Ministry of Justice which has been affected, and they're closely engaged with our authorities, our cybersecurity authorities. I can't say more than that because of the nature and seriousness of this, but yes, the government is responding to it with all the relevant powers and authorities you would expect for a serious incident of this kind.
Reid drops a late curveball. Reynolds pledges action but provides the tight security brief response. No numbers.
It's been reported that there has been, this is breaking news, that there's been a breakthrough in talks between the UK and the EU last night.
It's easy to take your pet, so your life's going to be a little bit more straightforward, and particularly for my part of this, the trade side of it.
Interview concludes in the same place it started. Reid pounding sovereignty, Reynolds arguing pragmatic progress. Brexit reset, not Brexit reverse. Let us know what you think down below in the comments.